Hey, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about scoring bread. It's one of the last steps you do before you bake, yet it's an important step because if you screw up the scoring, you can screw up a lot of the hard work you put in to get to that point. So let's first talk about why do you score bread? Well, point number one, you score bread to release gas out of the bread while it's baking in a controlled manner, meaning that you're trying to get the gas release to come out in such a way that it's not going to find its own way out and blow a hole in your bread. The second reason is to create good oven spring and a nice open crumb. If you score incorrectly, what you can do is you can let too much gas out prior to going into the oven. And what will happen is you'll end up with a dense loaf without a lot of rise to it. The third reason you score bread is to control the shape of the bread. Either you want to keep the shape that you originally formed by hand, or you might want to be creative. In this case, this is where I took a bowl and I scored it in such a way to make it a clamshell shape. So you can have a lot of fun with it. Just experiment. Let's talk about the tools of scoring bread. This is a standard lom. Now, I've tried these, and frankly, I don't like them. I have a hard time controlling them. What I have found is the saucer loms, which is just a straight blade between these little round pieces of wood, works really well for me. I find it's easy to control, it's easy to score bread, and to me, it's easy to make designs with on my bread. But I would say try both. See which one works best and make your choice. So let's talk about how to score your bread. What are the mechanics of it? Well, with a Batard, generally you're trying to hit about a 30 to 45 degree angle. Think about lining the blade up with the lower opposite corner of the bread, and you'll probably hit that angle just fine. Shoot for about a 1/4 inch deep, especially with high hydration doughs, but you can go deeper with a low hydration dough. The main thing is to score quickly and confidently. I read this thing on a blog once that said, "Don't let the dough feel your fear," and I could not agree more with that. Just be very confident with your scores. With a Batard, you also have to remember to go about halfway down the ends. Otherwise, you get kind of a weird shaped bread. With a Boule, I score straight down on top scores. On the angles on the sides, I'll use, again, that 30 to 45 degree angle that I mentioned earlier. But experiment with it. Have fun. See what you get. Let's talk about a few tips and tricks. Cool dough scores much easier than warm dough. You'll find that your lom will go through the dough easier. It won't hang up and grab the dough. And it'll also help the dough hold its shape better if you're scoring it while it's cool. So if you're cold proofing like with the sourdough, you're already there. But if you're not, if you're making like a biga or a poulish and you haven't cold proofed it, then put it in the refrigerator for about an hour before you score it. Pull it out, score it, and then pop it immediately in the oven. You'll find out that scoring is so much easier using cool dough as opposed to warm dough. Another trick is if you want to put patterns on your dough and thus on your bread, mix up a 50% rice flour and a 50% all-purpose flour. Mix them up and then dust them on your dough before doing your scoring, and it'll show the pattern that you're actually putting on the dough. So in conclusion, scoring for beginning bakers can be difficult. It can be scary. But trust me, it gets easier every time you bake a loaf. With enough practice, you can find that you can control the shape and the rise of the bread with your scoring. Remember, you need to make quick, strong scores with a sharp blade and hold your angles correctly. Try to refrigerate your dough in advance because it'll make the scoring much easier. Most importantly, don't fear the dough. Anyway, that's what I got for you today. Happy baking, everybody.